can be. So we are here talking about referential. Now, second aspect, what is the source and foundation of this knowledge? Now, in this context, there are three aspects that we have to understand. The source and foundation of knowledge, I am talking about three aspects. Who are the icons which influenced Baba Sahib Ambedkar in shaping the knowledge? So whenever we are talking about this source and foundation, because people do not think in vacuum. They have a established thought process, philosophy, or sometimes there is a current of thought which is there. So Baba Sahib Ambedkar engaged with certain philosophers or of his time or icons, So who are the icons who influenced Baba Sahib Ambedkar? This is one aspect of his source and foundation. Second, his experiences of the life. Because experiences of life shape your knowledge. And I draw this from C-right mills. C-right mills are used biography, history, and their interaction in society. There are three coordinates of sociological imagination. Three coordinates of sociological imagination. So this biography becomes very important for production of knowledge. As we were talking about in the morning, there are some victims of morning lecture also. You as a woman will choose a topic which is women oriented. Dalits will choose a topic of Dalit orientation. Minorities will choose a topic minority oriented. Why? Because there is this biography which gives you a imagination. But that is not all. There is a criticality also. There is a criticality also involved in this. Now what is criticality? Why will you write? And that is basically Paulo Freire's aspect. Why Baba Sahib Ambedkar went into writing? So I draw from Paulo Freire that pedagogy of the oppressed will be written by the oppressed. Oppressor will not write an emancipatory agenda. Isn't it? The oppressor will write how to oppress you more. Why will he write your emancipatory agenda? And therefore, Baba Sahib Ambedkar or people like Baba Sahib Ambedkar, Phule, Sahu, they all took up to write their So there is a theoretical basis that comes from Paulo Freire that pedagogy of the oppressed has been written. So Baba Sahib's experience becomes very important. The third very important aspect is ये लो यार छोड़ दो जाने दो अब तुम मिस कर दो ईश्वर छोड़ दो हाँ ये हो नहीं पाएगा ना मैं दिल लेके बैठा रहता Now third very important basis of actually engaging with experience and that produces knowledge is coming from Thomas Kuhn. Now Thomas Kuhn says that researches are not only made by data collection. You keep on collecting data, so researches are not made only by data collection. They are also done by changing the paradigm. If you change what is paradigm? Paradigm is the collection of theory and laws. For example, Baba Sahib Ambedkar never thinks that there is a God because he believed in Buddha. So the paradigm changed. And he says that Baba Sahib Ambedkar said that actually I will take water. Do whatever you like. I will take water, which is not allowed to me. Third, Baba Sahib said I will not go into the temple. So he changed the paradigm of his production of knowledge. Now in that context, I am trying to argue.
What is the
that is where I am saying that this experience is very important in the production of knowledge. And therefore, I say when we are talking about epistemology or Professor Ambedkar's production of knowledge, his experience. And when I started counting, I saw Baba Sahib was born 14th April 1891 and actually had Parvivar Divas 1956. Within this span, he had 10 shades of experiences. And this is all documented experiences. I am not concocting. Rather, there are actually written documents whenever he had these types of experience. Even the last, when he was resigning from Nehru's cabinet, there is a resignation speech which he has produced. There is a written document. When he goes into and become the member of the drafting committee, there is a document because he gave a 3,600 words speech on the 9th day of the Constituent Assembly. And then said, look sir, I am not prepared and you are calling me. So that experience. So in that way there are 10 types of experiences. I will come to that. The third very important, what are the exact actual sources Baba Sahib Ambedkar referred into the production of knowledge. So I am talking about this whole source and foundation of knowledge is called as epistemology. Don't be afraid of the term epistemology. What is this? I am just trying to give you the definition. If you have your source and foundation of knowledge, if you are trying to evolve a criteria to differentiate between scientific knowledge and non-scientific knowledge, you are doing epistemology. So, who were the people who influenced in the production of knowledge? Three very important items. One is Buddha. Baba Sahib Ambedkar was influenced by Buddha, so much so that in the end he embraced Buddhism. Then he was influenced by Kabir, and he has dedicated his book also on the Kabir, and his father was Kabir Panthi, not Ramdas from Ramdas. He was from Nainar tradition. So there are two traditions of Kabir Panths. When people call Ram, I ask them which Ram, whether it is Dashrath Ram or it is Kabir's Ram, because Kabir's Ram is nirgun. There is no actually structure. So we are talking about Baba Sahib is in Kabir Panthi, and therefore in his name, Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar should not be taken from Dashrath's son. Therefore, now in this context, his influence of Kabir Panth is very important. The third influence is Jyotirao Phule. That is third experience. Now there is also talk which is going on and which is being elaborated by the foreigners that he was influenced by John Dewey as well. So I do not take very sincerely John Dewey, because I think if pragmatism is to be taken, then I think Buddha can be called the greatest pragmatist than John Dewey. So therefore I think I still restrict myself to Buddhism. So these are three items who have influenced Baba Sahib Ambedkar much more than any other. Let me come to the experiences Baba Sahib. 1891 to 1956, that means he passed away at the age of 65. Within 65 years, that means there are actually 10 types of influences. First, I think you all must be watching a serial on some TV channel that there was a childhood experience. There's a childhood experience which Baba Sahib Ambedkar has looked at, and he has written also that way. When he was traveling from one place to another to meet his father Satara, then he suffered that type of experience. So childhood experience is one, which of course lasts very long. It's not that it doesn't last. The second is the youth experience of equality, because you know that Baba Sahib Ambedkar went to do his MA at Columbia University, and in Columbia University in 1913 he went there. graded inequality, he lands up in the university which is having equality all around. He can sit with everyone, he can talk with everyone, he can eat with everyone, dance and what not. So he experienced equality after that. So that equality, experience of equality is giving a very different type of notion and assertion in him that we will talk a little bit later. The third experience comes for his education in Maharaja's experience of education officer. He started working as education officer in Maharaja of Baroda. Maharaja of Baroda, who had funded his trip to Colombia. The fourth experience comes from Viceroy's Council. When he became a member of Viceroy's Council, he was actually, having a very different type of experience. The fifth experience comes that he becomes the leader of the Dalits. He becomes the leaders of the Dalits with socio-political movement. Now, Baba Sahib did not start actually a movement like that. And he argued that, look, why I want to take. So, I think if you want to enter in Baba Sahib's protest and movement life, the year is 1990. 1990 is the year when Baba Sahib for the first time gives a memorandum to the franchise committee, and a very elaborated memorandum. I think you can read in volume 1 of Baba Sahib's writing and speeches, that memorandum. Now, the sixth experience comes from as a common member of the Constituent Assembly. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, of course, that was defeated from Bombay, and then actually Jogennath Mandal and Scheduled Caste Federation of Calcutta took him there, and with the help of, at that time, Muslim League, he was elected from Khulna, and he represented Khulna constituency in the parliament. So he became a member of, common member of the Constituent Assembly. Now, this brings me to the seventh experience. Then he becomes the chairman of the drafting committee. When, people have laid down Baba Sahib's role in even framing the constitution. And one person called Arun Shourie wrote a book-length volume, Worshipping the False God, and says that Baba Sahib's role was only a draftsman. Now, I just want to give you this experience of drafting committee. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, as a draftsman of the drafting committee chairman, produced the voluminous constitution, and then that constitution was put to voting for the common masses. Now, common masses started scrutinizing the constitution. Now, in that, there were 7,635 amendments. 7,635 amendments. Common man do that. And if you say that, मेरा synopsis check कर दीजिए, फिर देखिए. That's it. लेकिन आप कहीं भी जरा ठीक कर दीजिए तो कोई नहीं. If you have done a story, there was an artist who made an art and said that, okay, he put that there in the platform, that whosoever found any shortcoming, they should put a tick. In the evening, all the art was filled with ticks. Then he went to elderly person like our chair, Vivek. So he asked her, what is this? I have made this beautiful painting and everybody has put for correction. So elderly person advised, now this time you write, whosoever finds any mistake should complete it. They should correct it there. In the evening, we saw the painting as it is. So it's very easy actually to take out the mistakes of the others. But when you have to put it, so people took out mistakes 7,635 corrections. So Baba Sahib read all those 7,635 amendments, discarded 5,132 amendments. He discarded. He says that no, these actually these amendments do not have any substance, and then he incorporated 2,473 amendments he included. Now, if a person is reading 7,635, discarding 5,000, including 2,400, you call it as the framework of the Constitution. This is simple, very simple empirical data. But even then, people clean up. So therefore, friends, what I am trying to argue, that his experience, because if you read this Constituent Assembly debate, what happened? He used to get up daily for 8 or 9 times in the Constituent Assembly. But there was some unprecedented days when he used to get up 26 to 27 times a day. And sometimes he was defending, sometimes he was moving, and sometimes he was moving supplement, and sometimes he was defending there. Even then people are not ready. So this experience is different. The 8th is a very important experience when he becomes the minister, labor minister in the independent, law minister in the independent India, the first law minister of independent India in the Nehru's cabinet. And he resigned in half. There is another experience when he writes his resignation speech. What did he feel when Nehru did not treat him? And therefore he resigned, and that has been included. The 9th experience, of course, is the treatment of Nehru, especially the Hindu Code Bill. The way Hindu Code Bill was not accepted, not passed, and therefore one of the reasons for resignation was Hindu Code Bill. Now, what was Hindu Code Bill? It was a bill for the rights of the woman. No feminist says that Baba Sahib fought there. No feminist will argue. You go and see. It was Baba Sahib Ambedkar's Hindu Code Bill, at least 7 rights which Baba Sahib wanted to establish at that time. Widow remarriage was one of the rights. Even consent of adoption, that woman consent, wife's consent is important for adoption. Anti-dowry act, secular marriages, that is intercaste marriage, right to property in the father's property, that was also the right which he wanted. Domestic violence, and the best was that Hindu Marriage Act, which made Hindu marriage is a contract rather than sacrament. Chahe pati mare, lekin mera pati mera devta. That was the earlier Hindu marriage. But after Hindu Marriage Act was passed, women had the right to take divorce, and it became a contract rather than a sacrament. So this code bill, Baba Sahib Ambedkar. The last experience which I want to argue is the opposition leader of a political party, and then conversion to Buddhism. Baba Sahib converted to Buddhism. So now these 10 experiences, all you are researchers, and that's why I am trying to underline that all researchers, when you are doing the research, don't leave the experiences of the people like that. Because when you go to the field, you collect the data on the experiences of the people. So don't laugh at or don't oversight, don't overlook the experiences of the people. That is why I keep on telling sociology, स्वतः सुखाई के लिए नहीं. It is not for our own happiness. Sociology is for parantai dukhai. Sociology practice is for the pain and agony of the others, how to understand. And this experience you have to extract. Okay, friends? Therefore, I have said that these 10 types of experience. Now, let me come to the exact source and foundation of knowledge. What is the exact source and foundation of Baba Sahib knowledge? And here I see 11 sources which Baba Sahib has used to produce his knowledge. There are 11 types of sources which Baba Sahib has referred to produce his knowledge. The first, he has used archival references. He went to the archives. Of course, every historian goes to archive, that is no, but as a sociologist, you should also go to archive. Without archives, actually, you will not be able to do. And I think Indians did that. The second is archaeological source. Baba Sahib used archaeological sources. The third, Indological sources, the text Indological sources. The fourth, government committees and reports. If you read Baba Sahib's production of knowledge, you will find references of government committees. Committee report is different, and then there is basically conferences, government conferences, and also the commission. That commission report is also there, which is a very separate thing, because committee is a smaller thing, a short period, but commissions are longer and larger. The fifth is the sixth is the census report. Baba Sahib has used census data in its text to produce knowledge. The seventh, newspaper clippings. You know, Times of India newspaper, if you read volume 1, he uses, newspaper clippings for lot of production of knowledge, especially atrocities on Dalits. He is using Times of India reports from Chakwara to Jhajjar. If you look, all those experiences are there. So I don't know whether you will take the newspaper clippings very seriously today, because I don't know how authentic they are. But at that time, Baba Sahib looked at. The eighth, of course, is the books and journals, which everyone does. And his production of knowledge, if you look, bibliography ranges like anything, and he has talked about not only the in-text references, but many times he has also talked footnotes. So footnotes are very important as researchers. You all should use these references when you write articles for journals. Now, the ninth is personal observation and interpretation that he is involved into. And then 10th is the interaction with the people that he used to go, he used to talk to people, and of course looking at the ambience by observe, not passive observation, you can say observation. The last is that he has also referred 6 types of encyclopedia. 6 types of encyclopedia from very different parts. I am not going into detail, otherwise it will be very, very long. Now, therefore, friends, in this context, if you start having the epistemology, the source and foundation of knowledge, then you have 3 very important aspects. One is the impact of the icons, that is Buddha, and then Kabir and Pule. Then we had the personal life experiences, and I gave you rationale of the life experiences from C.W. Mills, Paulo Freire, and Thomas Wolfe. You can add also cultural capitals, your experiences. Some people are born with accumulation of cultural capital, and some people are born with exclusion from the cultural capital. Those who have the upper strata, they are accumulation of cultural capital, and others are. In this context, therefore, friends, it's very, very important that we make academics of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. The problem with us is, till now, what I have been seeing, only activist Baba Sahib Ambedkar is being analyzed. And when you actually keep on analyzing activism, then people are afraid of engagement with Baba Sahib. Because then you reduce him only to caste. Making academics out of Baba Sahib Ambedkar is the challenge, and that's why I'm saying that you should visit. So you have to visit to the epistemology of Baba Sahib's thought and philosophy, and I just tried to actually give you the epistemology. Now, let us come to the other part of epistemology. I've given you the source and foundation. The first thing I said that what can be known with certainty? So we can know the certainty out of the referential knowledge. That was one aspect. The second aspect I told you, what is the source and foundation of knowledge? And I gave you three sources of that. One is the ethos, influence. The second is the personal life experience, and third is the direct source. Okay. Now we come to third aspect of epistemology, and that is how he tries to differentiate between scientific knowledge from non-scientific knowledge. That is there. If you look this brings actually the third aspect of epistemology, in which he is trying to differentiate and referential knowledge production through the journals. Because if you are writing only essays, that may not be considered as a scientific knowledge. Scientific knowledge passes through certain tests. One of the tests is that whether it has references or not. And if has a reference or what vantage point, the theoretical formulation, and also when you produce knowledge with different vantage point. So one point has number of references. It is not only one reference that you say and that is all. And sometimes people quote themselves only. They quote themselves to prove their knowledge. Or they will edit and they say that, oh, they are producers of knowledge. Editing is bullshit. Baba Sahib never edited a volume. He produced volumes. He produced full-length volume. You never edited. So I think this editing business we have to look at. I have just edited, so that does not mean. So, but now in this context, let us see at least 10 types of knowledge can be found in his. I don't have time, but I will take one at least one reference to prove the point that is. So let me just give you the 10 shades of knowledge production, which is the written form with references in different books, in different journals, and also at the time of memorial lectures, then committees and commissions, and inside the parliament. That is what actually makes it a very, very important aspect. So we can begin with social writings of Baba Sahib Ambedkar. I have references, but I am just giving you so that you can also do some research. The second is the political. The political. You know, Baba Sahib Ambedkar defined what is social, and Baba Sahib defined what is political. What is politics? Uses Bismarck definition. What is a politician? It is not actually. And then the critique of Western political democracy. Why did Germany and Russia fail in democracy? That was his, engagement with politics. Otherwise, it will. Then, of course, economics. You know that he was a PhD, BS. So I'm not economist, so I'm not reading. But problem of the rupee can be looked at. Okay, that is the third. The fourth is religion. I think Karl Marx or Buddha is very important text. Look at that. I think it's very important that Baba Sahib Ambedkar was trying to compare the two. And also, if you look at Dhamma, Buddha and his Dhamma, there also you will find theoretical premise. What is religion? What is religion? Baba Sahib Ambedkar is trying to argue. What is difference between Dhamma and Dhamma? Dharma and Dhamma. That is very important. The fifth is constitutional. Constitutional, if you see volume 6 and 7, 6 and 8, I think, the Indian constitutionalism which he is trying to look at. The sixth is gender. Gender, especially volume 14. Volume 14, volume 1. Volume 14, volume 1 and volume 2, both Hindu code, I think is gender oriented. The seventh is thoughts on various types of society. Look at various types of society and various types of revolutions. He compares actually the French Revolution with Japanese Revolution, American Revolution with Japanese Revolution, and also compares slavery with untouchability. That is a different thing which I'll come to a little bit later. The eighth shade is basically reorganization, or you can say developmental, reorganization and development of states. And ninth, of course, the Dalit movement. We can look at the emancipation, and tenth is education. So this is little bit of the fulcrum through which you can approach the referential knowledge which I call produced in books, and books were not published in Daryaganj, they were not published in Daryaganj with any Tom, Dick and Harry. They were all actually, having published from outside that. And every book has a foreword. If you read forward, I was actually, when I was teaching in Colombia, I realized that how students there, they read preface. हमारे यहाँ क्या होता है? People will go for photo state only. And they say, भैया preface छोड़ देना और bibliography छोड़ देना. It is read preface. To say one, no friends, my humble submission is read preface very carefully. Every book's preface has to be read carefully. Bibliography, keep index very, very attentively. Don't read index like that only. Because through index you can come to know what is there in the content. If you're not finding anything, go to the index and then look at Baba Sahib Ambedkar's books. There is indexing, there is a bibliography, and there is a preface. Not only preface of first edition, second edition, third edition, all editions you will find. So that is where I'm trying to argue that why I'm calling it as scientific in nature. Now, let me come to the perspective which he uses in the production of his knowledge. Again, a criteria for making your journalistic knowledge or frivolous knowledge into a scientific knowledge. The first perspective which he uses is historical perspective. Baba Sahib Ambedkar's whole writing has historical perspective. He goes into origin. And that's why I keep on imagining, because he was there in Colombia where Newtonian physics model dominated. Newtonian physics model positivism was dominating at that time, which talks about if there is a symmetry between present and future. So if you know the present, you can know the future. It comes from Newton's first law of motion. A thing will remain in rest and continue in motion unless until external forces apply. So if you know the initial position,
you can know the final position. And that's why our social scientists said that we will know the origin of property, origin of family, origin of art, origin of law. Everybody went into the origin. And they came to know. So Baba Saheb also Ambedkar had this influence of origin. Origin of caste, origin of religion, origin of the law, and then origin of finance in India, so on and so forth. So there is this historical perspective. The second, of course, related corollary is evolutionary perspective. Baba Saheb Ambedkar has actually looked into the evolution, and you know sociologists know what is evolution. When actually things move from simple to complex, and they have a higher tendency to achieve. So if you look at the Baba Saheb Ambedkar's movement from Mook Nayak to Prabuddha Bharat, look at the evolution. He starts with Mook Nayak. He is talking about hero of the town, and he wants what he wants. He wants Prabuddha Bharat, enlightened India. That is the evolution which has actually higher pedestal. From independent Labour Party to Republican Party of India. Okay? From march into the Hinduism to Buddhism. That is the evolution. The third perspective is Indological, and you know that how Baba Saheb Ambedkar has gone into the Indology and went to learn Sanskrit, and he went to Bonn, took admission to Bonn University to learn Sanskrit, because he was not taught Sanskrit here. So he wanted to read the text, and he has read number of texts. His reference, especially volume 3, Philosophy of Hinduism, is infested with lot of Hindu. The fourth actually perspective is a functionalist perspective. Religion is functional for Dalits or not. I think everybody should read this Sciences of Religion. Baba Saheb Ambedkar's fantastic essay on Sciences of Religion, where he talks about what is religion, quoting Durkheim, quoting Weber, both, and then Max Muller tries to define how many types of religion are there, and goes on to argue that there are only two types of religion. One is revealed religion and another is book religion. He goes into different types of mythology, and he goes into Italian mythology. That will be a different take, otherwise I would have definitely dwelt on that. Now, this perspective of religion is also important to look at, that how Max Muller gives 10 types of religion. But Baba Saheb says that you have to look at it differently. And then differentiating between theology and ritual. Because usually religion is, Baba Saheb says, that is confused with ritual. Anushthan or theology alag-alag cheez. And therefore he says that we have to differentiate between theology and rituals. That will sometimes later. Last but not the least, look at the comparative perspective. I think Baba Saheb Ambedkar has used comparative perspective in actually his production of knowledge. Okay? Now, comparative perspective, I have just given you that how he compares slavery with untouchability, how he compares French, Japanese, American and French Revolution, and how he compares Indian Revolution also with them. Then he also compares Dhamma and Dharma, how they are different. He compares Karma and Buddha, so on and so forth. There are a number of examples which we will talk about, that his production of knowledge is not really linear, rather comparative in nature. And that actually creates more scientificity when we talk to compare. Now, now, last point actually, and I stop because I can, I can go and write a thesis on this. Last point is that, is there a proper framework to read Baba Saheb Ambedkar? At least one example I want to give you. How will you engage Baba Saheb Ambedkar scientifically in at least one aspect, and that is the social. How he tries to talk about social and how can you really understand social. Because usually Baba Sahib Ambedkar has been reduced to an illusion of caste. And wherever I speak, bureaucrats, number of established professors in different universities, they will boast, oh, I've read Baba Sahib Ambedkar. I know Baba Sahib Ambedkar. So when you ask what have you read? Oh, an illusion of caste. Now, is elimination of caste an academic text? I, as a sociologist, I don't treat it as an academic text. It was a lecture to be delivered for commoners. जात पात तोड़क मंडल के लिए जहां पर आप जैसे लोग होंगे मुझे तो नहीं लगता जो सचमुच हायर लेवल पढ़ करके गए वो तो कॉमन मासेस के लिए and that is considered as end of all of Baba Sahib Ambedkar's production of knowledge. This is ridiculous. I may be harsh using this, and therefore, friends, I think we should be careful in dealing with, engaging with Baba Sahib Ambedkar. Now, if you really want to understand Baba Sahib Ambedkar's caste also, then you have to begin with defining the social order. Baba Sahib Ambedkar begins by defining what is Hindu social order. Second, he tries to define the place of the individual in the social order. Whether Hindu social order is an open social order and what is the place of individual in the social order. And from there, he wants, after defining the actually social order, he goes on to look the structure. What is the structure of the Hindu social order? And I do not find, Madam Sociologist is here, ma'am, I have not found such type of structure in any sociologist. Starting from Bure to Bete to